Good afternoon. Thursday's headlines. A partly derailed train carrying fuel oil has exploded in a 2-mile-long tunnel between Yorkshire and Lancashire. No one has been hurt. 4 people in Brighton have been infected with AIDS after receiving contaminated blood from one donor. And the pound has had another bad morning on the foreign exchanges.
Mrs. Thatcher is in Hong Kong after signing the agreement about the future of the colony. Her next stop is Washington, where she and President Reagan could fall out about his Star Wars policy. And as the miners' strike enters its 284th day, a look at how the pit community of Goldthorpe is celebrating a Christmas with no money.
First, though, part of a goods train carrying 1,300 tonnes of highly volatile gas oil caught fire and exploded this morning after becoming derailed in a tunnel under the Pennines. Several wagons were pulled clear after the fire started. Firemen withdrew from the scene shortly before the explosion, and no one was injured. The derailment took place in the 2-mile-long Summit Tunnel near Todmorden on the line between Manchester and Leeds. This report from Richard Wells.
For several hours now, the 120-year-old railway tunnel has been burning out of control. Flames 200 feet high leap from a ventilation shaft. From others, dense black smoke blankets the Pennines between Leeds and Manchester. The blaze is spectacular. Several thousand tons of petrol ignited in the middle of the 2-mile-long tunnel and bursting to the surface like a volcano. Several firemen wearing breathing apparatus were in the tunnel near to the derailed tankers when the fire took hold.
With 6 BA men working on the 7th truck, and the 6 BA were in there, and all of a sudden the vents blew on the 7th truck. When they blew, flames came out of the vents, giving off thick acrid smoke, which was bellowing up over the top of the tunnel, down the sides, and coming at us at a rate of knots, which at that time I said, right, we must evacuate, blew the evacuation whistle, and all the men got out of the premise, out of the tunnel as soon as possible.
140 firemen from West Yorkshire, Greater Manchester and Lancashire had been fighting the fire before it suddenly went out of control. Many were exhausted, working in appalling conditions inside the tunnel. But they were given a long time to recover as they stood by, helpless, waiting for the petrol to burn itself out.
Sorry, love, we've got to evacuate you.
Well, where do we go?
I'll take you to Walsall Junior School. That's where everybody is.
Well,
I'll take you down in the police car.
yes, all right. Now then, are you evacuating everybody?
Everybody's
from
been
here?
evacuated, yeah.
Several hundred people living near to the tunnel were evacuated from their homes for their own safety. Roads were closed and police and the fire brigade brought in reinforcements. Inside the tunnel, underground, no one knows what the situation is, and it's expected to be several hours at least before the fire is under control.
10 seconds, page 7 next.
Good afternoon. As you'll have seen on the national news, 2 explosions have now been heard in the tunnel north of Manchester where rail tankers containing gas oil are on fire. Flames from the blazing tankers are shooting out through ventilator shafts and nearly 150 firemen are fighting the fire. 50 people living near the tunnel have had to leave their homes. 5 of the tankers were derailed in the tunnel. It's 2 miles long between Littleborough and Todmorden. 5 other tankers are still on the rails. The locomotive crew were unhurt and managed to drive another 3 tankers out of the tunnel. The heat and smoke is so intense that the firemen are having difficulty reaching the blaze to spray foam onto the tankers. Other firemen are pouring water into the tunnel down the ventilation shafts. It's expected that the fire will have to burn itself out. The people who've had to leave their homes were taken to a nearby junior school. Passenger services between Manchester and Leeds have been disrupted. A bus service has been introduced between Littleborough and Todmorden, and it's expected the line will not be reopened for some time. And we've just heard that the fire brigade say that the blaze is now out of control and there are fears the tunnel may collapse.